heard that thieves broke into the Arcane University, the Imperial Legion compound, and the temple all on the same night. Wait a minute, let me do that one again. I heard that thieves broke into the Arcane University, the Imperial Legion compound, and the temple all on the same night.
Welcome to Between the Joysticks. Press start and then we're off. Nick and John, they've got the sauce. Breaking news and some hot takes. Even if there's some mistakes, Nick is captaining the ship, while John gives thoughts straight from the hip. But when their powers combine, we're all in for a hell of a time. Between the Joysticks, it's the best. Up to 6 things they will address. Tell all your friends and settle in. Between the Joysticks now begins.
Hello there, and welcome to episode 139 of the video game podcast Between the Joysticks. I'm your host, Nick, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, John. How are you doing today, John? You in a good mood?
Yeah.
I don't believe you.
No. Yeah. Well, restart. I don't have anything. I have
No, I think we should leave this in.
No.
Here, I'll save you. I'll
Okay.
save you right now. All right. So we talked about a lot of things last week, right? We had a whopping 7 things.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anything that you wanted to follow up about the things that we talked about last week?
No, you know me. I don't even remember what we talked about last week.
I got one. I got a couple.
Keep
Ghost of Yote.
Keep saving me.
Ghost of Yote. We talked about its release date. We talked about its release date in relationship to Marathon.
Yeah.
But we really didn't talk about what they revealed about the story.
Okay.
And that the game is a revenge tale where the main protagonist will be hunting down 6 guys for what I presume is killing her family, but we'll see.
It's either that or something a little more rapey, perhaps.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm just saying. I mean, it's usually one of the two.
Okay, now we can start over. Use the R word.
I can use the R word. I can use the R word.
I'm just joking.
Not that R word.
But they're saying the story is non-linear, that you can tackle these quote-unquote bosses, these 6 people you're hunting down in any particular order. Well, it may presumably most of them, and then the last guy, right? Do you have any thoughts on the game taking that approach?
Yeah, I actually kind of do. I don't know how I feel about it in the sense that I think the narrative is going to suffer for that, which is maybe okay. I mean, I am a gameplay first guy anyway, so maybe that's good news for me. But I just find it's a lot harder to tell an impactful story that makes certain story moments and beats happen in the spots you want them. Those. I feel like those will land harder if you're telling a linear story, and just because Last of Us has kind of been on our mind lately, I think of that story, and if you were able to go kind of like tackle Abby's crew in like your own type of way, maybe some of those moments wouldn't have hit as hard. And you trust your writing team and the guys crafting the narrative to account for that and everything, and it probably is a scenario like you said where you take down the first 5 you can take down in any order, but like this person has to be last or whatever the case is. But it does open up the idea of possibilities of like, it's always a great video game feeling for me when you beat a boss and like, kind of think of like Mega Man, right? When you beat that boss and you get their ability. So I don't know if that's what's going to happen here, where you can kind of like, just treat it like, it's a leveling up like get a new mechanic thing.
I mean, the game is shown in the same trailer with this release date. They have shown multiple weapons that were not featured in the original game. So
yeah, so if like you're a more stealth approached player, and one of these guys has something that's going to assist you in that way, or if you want to, it could even be non-weapon related. It could be ability related. Who knows? Treat it more like a Metroidvania in a way. But I'm cool with it. I do think that objectively having an open-ended player choice-based structure will negatively impact the narrative. And I'm okay with that personally, but it is what it is.
I guess we'll see how they handle it, right?
Yeah.
Like the original game was much more of like a bunch of quest givers on the map, and then go and then knock it out, and eventually, it coalesces into the main objective, right? And I know I don't think you didn't have to do them in order either. especially a lot of the side stories with a lot of those side characters.
Oh yeah, side stories never. I mean those need to be definitely taken in whatever order you so choose as the player.
So yeah, like we'll see how it fleshes out, but yeah, I'm not concerned.
Also, I take back the R word, seeing as I'm reading the main character has big trauma in her childhood. So let's hope not. So yeah, murdered family. Yep, there it is.
Tale as old as time.
Stop murdering kids' families. They're gonna come back and
leave them alive.
At
least if you're gonna do it, kill the kid too.
Yeah, exactly. Duh.
All right, we can move on to
darkest start to a podcast.
The other thing is, as we're recording, there is a Borderlands 4 state of play occurring. We might talk about it next week, but not likely because I don't think there'll be anything there of note. But Borderlands 4 is moving out of its way to get away from Marathon. Nah, I'm just kidding. They didn't say that. But it's getting pushed up to September 12th, so not sharing the same date as Marathon anymore. Anything to read into that?
Well, they did come out and say that it does not have anything to do with Grand Theft Auto 6. I mean, that's what everybody thought, Nick and I included. You know, it's owned by Take-Two, you know, the parent company for both of these franchises. So if anybody knows, they do. But they have been adamant that it's not for that. But I also just don't believe you sometimes.
And it's 11 days.
11 days earlier, yeah. So, you know, I still think Grand Theft Auto is, it's looking at probably, if it is coming this year, it's going to be a back half of October kind of game, maybe beginning of November. I don't think that they would move it into the same month as Borderlands or anything like that. But, yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's always good if games get moved up, you know, as long as it's ready to go and you're excited for it. I mean, I expect Borderlands 4 to be more Borderlands. It's not going to be a franchise that's going to turn itself on its head. Kind of the reason that Nick and I don't really feel the need to dive deep into whatever the state of play is. But I would imagine it's just, you know, they're probably just looking at the landscape and go, there's nothing this week, at least right now. Doesn't it make a little more sense? Even if Marathon, you know, doesn't hit or does hit, whatever the case, you know, we have differing opinions on that one. But it makes sense to just kind of have the week to yourself. You know, even if Marathon's not that great, people are still going to be talking about it, being like, it sucks, and then it takes a little bit of oxygen out of the room and all that stuff. So, yeah.
Again, 11 days is not going to really change much, but who knows if Grand Theft Auto for whatever reason is a November 1st game or early November, you do at least want some breathing room for your other big titles. So but who knows? And then finally, I'm going to double down on my Marathon take, John.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just letting you know that my thoughts last week that Marathon won't make it till 2026 is still standing, even watching other players play the game.
I triple down on mine, Nick. How about that?
Okay.
Triple dog dare you.
So the winner gets 3 pizzas now.
3 pizzas. Hey.
And you have to eat them all at once.
Did we? All right. You know what? Fine. Whatever. Fine. It's gonna live. It's gonna live to 2026. It won't be gone completely.
Okay, we'll see.
Is there a reason you're doubling down? Is it because of EA?
Oh yeah. EA rumored to be closing a project involving Respawn and a Titanfall sequel that was also an extraction shooter.
Yeah.
No, not particularly, but it doesn't help.
Yeah.
It doesn't help that genre, and then that Respawn, another prestigious first-person shooter team, is also given up on an extraction shooter.
I will say this anecdotally, and I don't think I've shared this with you, but there is somebody at work here that has come up to me and talked about Arc Raiders, right? And so you probably already know who I'm talking about. And he was mentioning that, I'm pretty sure they want to make sure that they get this thing out before Marathon so that they don't have to compete with Marathon. I was like, why? You're actually talking and know about Marathon? And it was an interesting thing to kind of hear him just talk. And that's what I think. I think it's just because of who it is. We don't need to get into this much more, but because of who it is, it will at least get a ton of eyeballs. And the only way that it doesn't last is if it just straight up fucking sucks. Mm-hmm. So we'll see.
Okay. All right. And then that's all I got for as far as follow up to last week. So unless you got something else, I do have
Yeah.
a final question.
Yeah, tell me where I should go on vacation with my family.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We'll just use the whole show for that.
Okay.
I don't know. We're gonna probably talk about Last of Us, and they went to some beautiful places in episode 3.
They sure did. I've been there. It's great. Really great. I've actually been. I don't know if you know. I've been to Jackson, like the actual Jackson Hole where it's based. I've been there. It's a pretty awesome place.
Oh yeah,
Pretty cool.
pretty secluded.
Yeah, I mean Wyoming as a state is secluded.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's the least populous state in the country, and
Right,
it's
right.
huge. But yeah, it just has just such a vibe out there.
Okay.
Such a vibe.
All right. And then we'll end on just a silly question here for you. If why are you closing your eyes?
No, I'm not. I'm just preparing.
Not all my questions are to get out to get you.
You've been
John.
in a mood today, all right? So I don't know what's coming.
No, it's a. I don't want to even talk about that, but if you could be really good at one video game, like best in the world, what video game would it be?
I'm gonna approach this because my as I always do, I go monetary. What can but like I'm not gonna approach it that way because that's just like
Why
silly.
not? That's
I don't
fine.
know. I mean, I will say probably.
I mean, even if you said monetary, what game would it be? Because I'd be curious as to what you would think. Where would you make the most money?
Right, and that's why I'm not I'm not sure because like, you know, you have to gain a following if it's online based. So
Right.
I don't know. I think maybe it would be like Street Fighter 6.
Yeah, that's
Like
where
that
I
would be
go.
pretty dope. Where you're at Evo, you're getting cheered on, you got
Right.
people hooting and hollering. There is a prize attached to it. I've always been jealous of people who are super good at fighting games because it looks like fun, high stress, of course, but it's just the highest skill floor there is. So yeah, probably whatever the like a Street Fighter 6, a Super Smash Brothers, you know, Mortal Kombat game, something like that. One of those top tier fighting games would be fun.
Only Smash was like sponsored by Nintendo, like
Yeah.
Capcom puts into Street Fighter, like
Right.
that they had a bigger prize pool. But yeah, I'm with you. Street Fighter 6 would be the one to just.
Guitar Hero 4. That doesn't exist. 3.
Yeah, man. Nobody knows it but me, but I'm the best in the world. Look at
There's
my
still-
high
there's-
score. Woo!
There's still people doing that, like, oh, I played through Fire and Flames on 300% speed, and I know. I was like, what are you? Yeah, sure.
Infinite free time.
I guess so.
That's the name of that game.
Some wicked fast fingers.
All right. That's all I got if you want to get into the show proper.
Let's do it.
All right. This is how the show works. John and I can both bring up the 3 things to talk about. It can be a video game we're playing. We're going to be talking Expedition 33 and Elder Scrolls Oblivion and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
So topical today.
So many RPGs to talk about. It could be a topic. It can be an email from you, the listener. We have 2 emails from listeners we're going to read later in the show. But you can also get in touch with us on Twitter at JoysticksPod or on our YouTube page at Between the Joysticks. Any of those things, we'll bring them to the show and we'll talk about them. And the first thing we're going to talk about is the game kind of blowing up right now, Clair Obscur Expedition 33. We briefly touched on it last week.
Clair Obscur.
Clair Obscur,
Yes.
not Obscura.
Yes. Not this week. Maybe in 2 weeks when it's not the game of the week, but right now.
Coming from Sandfall Interactive, the highest rated game of the year so far, currently at a 92.
Yeah,
on
popped up to that 92 today.
And I want to kind of start big picture because I have early impressions of the game, but the internet is in that what I call the honeymoon phase. A game comes out, it's very, very good, and people are just gushing about it, loving it, but they're also being kind of like backseat gamers about this.
Okay.
and by stating of several things like, this is going to be the rise of turn-based RPGs now. Just like Baldur's Gate changed the CRPG game, turn-based games, Expedition 33 is going to lead to a rise in these games. And and I don't know why that it's just kind of absurd to me. Is it acts like they haven't existed in a while?
Yeah. People get hyped. They get a little overzealous.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that honeymoon phase, because not last year a Game of the Year nominee was a turn-based RPG in Metaphor ReFantasio,
And Persona 5 is one of the most beloved games.
right,
of the past 10 years.
right, and they come out all the time. Like they're always there because I think it's just one of those just easy game mechanics to pick up and design for. Everyone takes a turn and does a move. It's pretty straightforward. You're just adjusting numbers and sliders for the most part. That I don't know why. Like sometimes I think maybe just the internet as a whole has forgotten that they come out.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you're probably seeing is, the United States is the world's biggest gaming market. So I think a lot of people, when games come out, you're going to get a lot of loud people from this country kind of going online and screaming from the rooftops. And a lot of people are they see something Japanese like Metaphor, like Persona, and they go, I don't want to even touch that. I don't want to see it. But they see something that looks like a Western game. It is a Western game. It's from a French developer. And it becomes more approachable, so they're willing to go into it with more of an open mind. They're willing to give it more of a chance, and so maybe that group of people are just the ones that are like, oh, I get it now, and then just have to shout it from the rooftops.
Right, yeah, and I'm from like the standpoint of like getting hyped for this game again, first time studio, first time game. I get all that, but let's just tone it down and at least talk from a place where you know what you're talking about. Because again, turn-based games have been around forever and they're not going anywhere. So, but it is nice that this one's here. But it is, and my impressions are going to be so early on that I don't want to speak on those things just yet. Because like I said, from what I can tell, the best mechanics of the game are what were in like the Mario and Luigi series. That you just don't choose attacks. Your timing and parrying and dodging is all an active thing you do when you're attacking or the enemy's attacking. But that's something I've seen before, like years and years ago. So it's something this game's doing very well, but not something I'd sit here and go, this is...
Sea of Stars, baby.
yeah, exactly. This is not something like crazy out of the blue new mechanics. And then the other big point a lot of people are making is the size of this studio, and that they're making a AAA game. They're about, 60 people big.
I was talking to a friend of the show, Nick, at work, he's balls deep in this bad boy. He was saying 30.
Yeah, but is that true though? Like that's what I'm saying. Like, is the internet like what? How many people actually did work on this game? Because it maybe the core team is like 30, but when you get into like QA and
so it says Sandfall. Google AI. Count that for what you will. Sandfall Interactive has 33 coincidence employees. So I don't know. Yeah, but LinkedIn says 11 to 50. So it's probably somewhere around there.
Sure.
But yeah,
who knows? And that's fine. The difference between 50 and 80 people is not really going to change much. But this kind of like now we're turning the lens to the video game industry as a whole. Is like, why can Sandfall Interactive make a AAA game for $50 and then Insomniac has to make Spider-Man 2 for $300 million, and charge full price for it? And
it's because big corporations suck, Nick. That's what it is. Let's turn this into an economic podcast right now. All right, ready?
But I know it's that hero story, right? Like we're rooting for an underdog. I get that point. But I don't get like you just don't know what you're talking about when you talk about video game budgets and as we talked about, we had that email from Freddie that we just don't know what goes into these games.
The one thing that this is anecdotal, but here at work I have to sometimes order equipment for our office, and we use a company called Uline, huge company. Bunch of stuff, and you get like trash cans and just random things you need, right? Their prices are always like 5 times higher than I feel like I could just walk into a Walmart and get. So I just wonder, like, when you start dealing with large companies because they know we need large amounts and quickness and fastness and efficiencies and it guaranteed to work, if it's just like Insomniac's dealing with anybody, it's Insomniac, cool. Top dollar, they'll pay it. They have to, and when you get a team of 33 dudes that are probably, and dudettes, that are probably a little more scrappy and need to kind of like put it all together, maybe you can kind of just keep the cost low, and I don't know.
Sure.
But,
yeah, I don't know. I mean,
But,
yeah, it's a
to
French,
your point, we have no idea.
Yeah, it's a French studio. I mean, studio costs are different than in Insomniac, who's in California.
You gotta be careful, Nick. You're about to get your second letter of being a corporate shield, man. You gotta be careful.
And I'll get into my impressions more, but I do think as I've played the little bit I've played of the game and the little bit of the world map that I've touched in the game, I see where they kept costs down in this game, and that's scope, right? We've talked about scope a lot in this, and what as far as I played is, and what I can tell from Expedition 33 is that it's basically broken up like a Super Mario World, right? You have a map, and each map is a stage. That stage is very linear and very like condensed, and you do that, and then you go to the next one. We're not looking at a sprawling. We're going to talk about Rebirth, like a giant open world, and it's all connected and it all makes sense.
Something tells me it would be very interesting for me to play Clair right after I've done with Rebirth. That's all I like to compare the two.
Sure. I would love to see a developer diary on how they did this. I know Unreal Engine plays a big part of this, right? They pre-bought an engine that is known to do this. In fact, even playing this game, I get the Arkham Knight vibes all the time, especially when how your character talks to NPCs and the camera angles they use and the way the characters interact in that way. It's right out of Arkham Knight. It's the same way.
Well, it seems like this game in general has a lot of inspirations, which is good.
Yeah. And so, and like I said, I'm all for the rooting for this game, but it has like just come out. Can we just like process the game a little bit, before we give it all this love and these platitudes and all that stuff, and define it as like a game changer as far as AAA development and these type of video games, this genre of video game, turn-based games. Yeah. So, all right, we can get into my impressions. I have played about just under 3 hours of the game, so I've gotten out of the prologue and kind of just very briefly starting to like your typical pick up your party members stuff and learn more and more mechanics as they kind of get added on. And I'm going to talk broadly because I really don't want to spoil the opening, because I think the opening is incredibly well done. One of my problems with this genre in general, like my Uncle Ben of this genre, is the small town. I'm living a normal life. The stakes aren't really there until you get further and further in the game. And like this game, the stakes are right there. And if you don't know this game from the trailer, the premise is that there is a deity-like character called the Paintress. She paints a number on a mural, and if you are that age, you just disappear. You get Thanos snapped. You're just gone.
Does the number always drop by one every year?
Yes, it drops down to one. Cool. It started at 100, and now it is at 33. And so these people that are part of this town, what they're doing is they'll send an expedition out to try and stop this from happening. And that's kind of where your main character, Gustav, and a whole bunch of other people are going to this place called the Continent that's filled with monsters to ultimately stop this Paintress and so people can live on. Pretty much everyone's terminal, right? They know when they're going to die.
I think I made this joke when this game was announced, but I want to see them fail for the next 25 years, and there's just a bunch of 6-year-olds in the world. Like, what are we going?
Yay! Yeah, and so that is the premise, and that is the stakes right from the start, and it's very dark, it's very serious, and it's very well written. It's a great introduction into the world and its stakes and why what your character is doing matters. And the main character is voiced by Charlie Cox. If you don't know him, he plays Daredevil in the MCU. Great actor. Didn't realize he was English because, of course,
everybody's English.
Yeah, all the best actors are English. It's just it's really great.
Do you know Bella Ramsey's English?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so it kind of like is just a kind of a great first hour and a half of a video game. Great prologue, and then great into like getting you involved and interested in these characters. Like I said, there's a real maturity to the story. I've heard the F-bomb several times.
Not on this fucking show.
There's a lot of nuance to these characters. The main character is just not your typical badass or your typical I have amnesia, but I'm actually a badass, or I'm going to be a badass. There's kind of a flawed character at the heart of this story. And this is just a dumb thing that I kind of like about games is like your character gets dirty. Like he has dirt on his face. He has cuts on his face. And it's like...
Now I know why you like Red Dead. I'm just kidding. Everybody likes Red Dead.
That it's just like it just makes the world more believable. Like it feels like there's stakes here, and you're just not going to come out of this cleanly. And it's just simple things like that kind of.
It reminds me of playing a Gran Turismo game and you go ping ponging off the walls and like your ping ball, and then like your car is perfectly fine. It's like
yeah, right.
That doesn't translate.
Yeah, and so the world is very cool, very beautiful. The environments, these levels that I talked about earlier. One of the second levels is like completely underwater, and it's just gorgeous. This is Unreal Engine 5, and the lighting and everything about this game is just perfect.
All right.
So great music, great use of live orchestral music, lots of piano.
Yeah.
There's a lot I want to know about this game because obviously it's very, very good, made by a small development team, but has attracted like orchestral music.
Andy Serkis.
Yeah, big name voice actors. Where did this game come from? Like, it all kind of reminds me, like Beethoven and Dinosaur, The Artful Escape, which has like a bunch of big name actors and actresses in it too. You're like, well, there is like a developer there, like former Hollywood or something. And sometimes I think about that in this game too, is like,
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know there's some former Ubisoft people at this studio, but as far as I know, there's no crazy big named people. I don't know. I imagine these scripts and things just pass through agents' desks after desk after desk after desk, and video games have been a more viable medium for stars to kind of come out into, and so maybe we're just kind of hopefully starting to kind of continue to see that. And similarly, there's a new movie coming out, or that they just dropped a trailer called Weapons, and apparently that one. The script was so good as it was getting passed around Hollywood that there was a bidding war, and like Jordan Peele and his team wanted it. They weren't able to get to it. Warner Brothers inevitably paid $40 million. So, it might just be like, look, the script for this or the package that they presented to when they were passing it out to different agents, because they're, I would imagine part of the process is like, look, we have this guy in mind for this character, send it to their agent. What do you think? And if you have something of like, note, maybe Charlie Cox is a huge gamer, I don't know, that'll absolutely help, but it's cool.
You're right.
It is interesting,
and that's why I kind of like I'll have much more to say obviously when I finish the game. But you're right, the script and I come away from this like, holy crap, you
said the writing was as good as
what a story. Then you can see why it might attract other people to come in and do big name actors to do the voice work. But as far as like the mechanics so far, I'm very early on. I mean, you have there's a lot to take in. You have attributes, you have skills, you have called pintos, which are like modifiers to your, like you can do like fire damage every time you shoot, or 50% more damage on attacks. And these are things that you equip to somebody, and then after a couple battles, they'll learn the skill for permanently, and then your other party members will learn it.
Kind of like materia, kind of.
Yeah, materia, kind of like materia, but they're not like, the skills are things you can actually select. These pintos are kind of like passive attributes. They're not something that like you don't learn a new skill because you put them on there. But and then loot. There's loot. Weapons matter. All those mechanics that you would expect from this type of game are here. And like I said, I'm just scratching the surface in my very early impressions of it. But I'm blown away. Like I said, video game openings need to be so much better, and and that's really kind of my takeaway so far. Is just like, Mass Effect 2, just one hell of an opening. It's like, the stakes right away. You know what you're doing. You know what you're ready for. You're like geared up and ready to go.
Last of Us.
Yeah, Last of Us. Yeah, like let's go. Let's get into the
Well,
game.
I can't put this down now.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I think about that too all the time when I look at trophy data. Like when you see like the first trophy for this game is at 86%, and that's just to get out of the prologue. And you're like,
What?
14% of people just have not finished the prologue. Why isn't that? That should be like 98%, you know? And yeah, a lot of games just need to need to start that strong. And I'm glad to say that this is one of them, and kind of reminds me that, yeah, video games need to be like this.
Yeah.
So I'll have more to say next week. I think I'll be really, really into the game at that point. So
Well, it's always cool to see a new IP, a new team announce a game. When they announced this game, this was at the Xbox Developer Direct, right? Everybody
the
was
Xbox Showcase.
Xbox Showcase, okay. And then they did the Developer Direct.
Yeah,
It was
earlier
one of
this
those,
year.
Yeah.
Yep.
People were hyped on it. People
Yeah.
thought that this was going to be special, and you just always have that air of apprehension about it. And then so to see best reviewed game of the year, everybody gushing about it, happy for the team, happy for the gamers, honestly, because it's always nice when something you're looking forward to hits. I'll just want to say again briefly, it is still confusing to me that Xbox is put all this effort into marketing it and putting it in their developer directs, and then decided to drop it the same week as Oblivion. It made its way through. It's selling millions of copies. Everybody is gushing about it. It's just still like, you didn't have to do that,
Right.
You could have picked a different week.
Yeah, you could have waited
to do that.
Yeah.
But didn't seem to matter. Awesome stuff. And
that's a great point, because they really don't have, I don't think, anything for June. Why didn't they just do this at the game showcase?
Well, and think about it this way, right?
June.
So like Game Pass the currency of Game Pass is time, right? And so if you drop Oblivion a couple days before this, people are going to be probably a little more excited for Oblivion just based on nostalgia and whatnot. They're going to jump into it. If they beat it, that's going to carry them to Doom, and then they're probably going to jump into Doom, and then at that point you start to kind of just, there's going to be fewer and fewer people are going to go back to Clair, and so it's just the timing was just odd. It seemed like you're kind of biting off your hand to spite face. I don't know what the phrase is, but something like that.
Yeah, and that's a good transition, because I have also played Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remaster. I'm playing these games on PlayStation 5.
Have you ever played this game before?
No, as we talked about last week.
I know. I just want you. Maybe nobody heard last week. All right. Maybe you got a brand new listener.
My experience with this series is just Skyrim. I've played a lot of Skyrim. I love Skyrim, an amazing game, and so it was an easy choice to be like, yeah, I'll check this game out and just see how this game is and how it compares. And it's a weird game. Sometimes it looks very, very good. Like the lighting, this is another Unreal Engine 5 game. The lighting will look great. Like fire looks great. Oblivion
those gates look dope.
Look great. But other times it'll be like broad daylight out, and you're like, this game looks like ass. Like it does not look good at all. Or you'll be forced to like follow another character, so you're like slow walking through the environment. You're like, doesn't look so good right now. And the game does have like performance issues, but yeah, either if I'm playing on, graphic or performance or fidelity, no bueno.
Yeah.
So, but it's hit or miss. Most of the time, I really don't notice, but I kind of did. And what the deal, I guess, with Elder Scrolls games is like they just set you loose in a world, and then you can kind of do what you want. You can go in any direction. You can explore as many caves as you want, and there's going to be a lot of just incidental quests that probably not incidental, but they're going to feel incidental because you're just going to go into a town, you're going to overhear something, somebody's going to stop you. You're going to see like a mage guild and be like, hey, I want to join the mage guild, and this is going to start off a series of quests that are going to get you through it. And these are fantasy games. You pick your class. You're either warrior, thief, or mage, and there's subclasses, variations of that. So it's kind of really the premise of the game. And so far, yeah, I'm really enjoying it. You kind of get lost in the world, and and there's just some quest out there that will just really get you thinking or chuckling because they're just so absurd. Like I had to help a mage's friend who was stuck in this dream world. He had this amulet that let him enter his own dreams.
I remember this one. That's right.
But he didn't realize he was in a dream once he got there. So you had to go into his dream, and then when you went in there, you were naked, and and then you had to help him like recover like certain attributes, like his courage, his patience, and all that. And they were all kind of these like trials involving those mechanics. The courage one was like swimming down a giant deep hole over and over again. It was rough.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's just silly quests like that just kind of just play with this world and just the fantasy elements of it. And then I know the standouts are always the guild quest, and I'm starting on the mage guild, and I've already been reached out to by the Dark Brotherhood.
Oh, gotta do the Dark Brotherhood.
Yeah, which I've heard are really good. And yeah, and if it wasn't for Expedition 33, I think I would be just like churning through this, because it's just fun. I don't know why. There's just something about it. Even on this podcast where we since day one, we're down on Starfield because Bethesda games don't really change very much other than graphically look good. And then when you play a game like Cyberpunk where characters are emoting and there's all this emphasis on animation and stuff like that, and you play Elder Scrolls and everyone just walks around, they have the same body types, and you just stare at them directly in the face every time you talk to them, and they don't really change much or have any expressions, but it still gets me. It's still getting me.
Well, and I think the key difference of Starfield, and specifically to that, is everything is one cohesive world. Nobody wants to explore via fast travel. You just don't. It just takes all of it away. So when you can just literally be going right, hey, what's that over there? And you see it, you see then you walk into this house and the lady's like, hey, I'm stuck in a dream, and you're like, what? And then you do it really helps.
And I will say about this game is I am kind of bummed that all the towns are already fast travel available.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, I mean, everything else you have to find first, but the town should have been something you'd have to walk to first.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I don't know why that decision was made, but once I realized it, of course I was doing it. And then the game does kind of turn into what you're talking about. It's like fast travel here, go into the building, load screen, go in this other building, load screen, and so forth. But yeah, so far it has been really entertaining. To the fact that I was asking myself this question is like, if Starfield comes to PlayStation, should I be excited for it?
Maybe. I don't know. Don't worry. We can maybe split the cost on that one and just try it out. But I mean, what am I kidding? I'm not playing Starfield.
All right. Well, then my next question: should I be excited for Elder Scrolls 6?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You absolutely should. I mean, I think you know the answer to that question too. You said it yourself. You loved Skyrim, thought it was a great game. You're enjoying this one, right? Why wouldn't you at that point? And what I think a lot of people are realizing about Oblivion, maybe they forgot or maybe they just never got to it, but it seems to embrace the silliness a little bit more, the funness of a fantasy world. Unfortunately, with this remake, I've heard it's a lot browner and less green than Oblivion was.
Yeah, I saw those comparisons.
That was something that kind of Oblivion stood out for, was like it didn't have that direness that Skyrim seems to have, where everybody's super serious, everything's gray toned, and there's dragons and blah blah blah. But it has silly quests like that. So, yeah, I mean, if Elder Scrolls 6, can kind of embrace that and it doesn't need to turn into Fable or anything like that, but have a little bit more just quote unquote fun with your mission structures, with your quests, with your characters. And I do think they get that, because Oblivion has some famous, silly, cringy, weird dialogue to it. I believe there's even a line in this game somewhere where the voice actress literally was caught on mic going, well, let me try that one more time. And they just left it in, in this remaster too, because they know that people, kind of, it's endearing to some people. So, yeah, you absolutely play 6, man. Of course. Yeah. You're not passing up a giant Western RPG.
I know. But yeah, I was trying to think of what they could do more. And I do think the cities themselves and the towns, they're just very sparse. And they're sparse because every person has to have a house that they go to at night. And people have schedules in these towns. Like a shopkeeper, he sleeps in his house, and you can go in there at night and he'll be sleeping and you can steal stuff. But if you wanted a cyberpunk level city, it's well, then you're just having a bunch of random NPCs in a town, and then you kind of lose that that town schedule.
They put a lot of eggs into a specific basket.
Yeah.
I know that Skyrim, when it released for PS3, had a very big problem because not only does it have everybody on schedules and things, but like it remembers exactly what
items.
you've done with everything.
Yep.
So people could like just take all the potatoes and stuff them into a room, and then
Right.
it like crashes the CPU. Is it CPU or GPU that kind of remembers that? CPU, because GPU is graphics, right?
I think it was like a memory issue.
Oh,
like
yeah,
it would
so
crash.
eventually, as you continue to progress through your game and you get to more and more areas and more buildings and more things, the game just can't handle it.
Right.
So, yeah, they need to figure that out.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I was kind of thinking about. Like, it's like because it'll look pretty, right? And it should have great writing, and it'll have all the guilds, and it'll have, you know, all the staples of Elder Scrolls. And I really do think that is what this game is reminding everyone is like, holy shit, we really do like Elder Scrolls games. And Elder Scrolls 6, we can't wait, you know, and I'm sure that is, according to Bethesda, when they announced it years and years and years ago, at the same time they announced Starfield, is most likely their next game. But I'm also thinking like, well, what do I want out of that they could change? And it really is that like just that bland dialogue system that they have. But I don't think they'll ever change it because I don't think Starfield your character is voiced at all.
No,
or anything
and you've almost reached this point where it at first was an industry way to do it. It got lapsed by everybody. But it almost seems to be coming back around that like this is like, no, it's the nostalgia's kicking in and this is comfortable and we like it. So yeah, I would imagine they're probably sticking with it too. I got a question for you though, Nick. Does this green light, if it has not already been green lit, the Fallout 3 remake, the remaster?
Wow, that's if you looked at my notes.
Oh nope, I didn't look at your notes.
I do have that coming up next. That's 100% happening.
Yeah,
100% a Fallout 3. I'm sure that's Virtuosa's the who worked with Bethesda on this. Their next game, easy.
After Delta, because they're doing Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, they're a busy team.
100%. Yeah,
Try and line it up with the Fallout Season 2 and or something like that.
Yep. That would all make sense. And the Elder Scrolls 4 is doing very well. Why wouldn't Fallout 3
it'd probably do better.
Remaster do?
Maybe not better, but right there.
But also, I know like you have no interest really in this, right? You need to go back to Oblivion.
I want to. I just, I gotta at some point face facts.
Okay. I mean, do you care about Fallout 3 more?
Yes.
Would that mean more to you?
Fallout 3 would mean more to me. Yeah.
Okay.
Fallout 3 was my first Bethesda game in general, and no, that's not true. Oblivion was. But Fallout 3 is the one that I just go back and think of it. At one point, I would have told you Fallout 3 is in the top 5 favorite games of all time. You know, it is monumental. I do worry a little bit that it's going to feel a little stale at this point after playing a lot of other games kind of like that. But I don't know if there's a more vibe game than Fallout 3 with the music and just like stepping out of the vault for the first time and all that stuff. So I at the very least, like, while Oblivion is something I have played in the past, I have nostalgia for it. It's not calling me in the same way that like if that was out, I would just buy it just to have it, just to like, just kind of be ready to, if I just want to spend a little bit of time in, with that music and that stuff. So yeah, I want both of them. I just, again, face facts, my man.
Right.
I'm about to talk about a game that took me only 14 months after release to finally get through. So,
Yeah, so I plan on playing more of it. I'll definitely have more to say. I was excited. I had to text you, John, that I ran into Sean Bean, the actor.
Yeah.
He plays a role in this game, and that was a pleasant surprise. So the plan being finish Expedition 33 and then knock out Oblivion, and that should take me a little bit of time.
And then
over the next month.
Yep, and then you'll have Doom for me when I beat that.
Yep.
Yay, games.
When you beat Doom 14 months later.
No, that's a special boy. That'll be beaten in a month.
Okay, you heard it here.
Yeah. I think I said the same thing about Last of Us 2, and I think it took me like 5 weeks. So
I will say when a big game does come out that you care about, you do actually beat it in time.
And something like Doom, where I'm just gonna be like, I'm not gonna pop in there and I'm gonna be like, let's fucking go. I've got to kill some demons.
Like I think you beat Ragnarok
That was
in
about a month.
a month.
That was about a month.
Yeah,
Month
so,
is my fast my fast go of it for big AAA games.
so. But yeah, so far so good, and I'm glad to, like I said in the last episode, to finally be eating good.
Yep.
Playing some good games that I'm excited for.
All right. Well, let's go back 14 months, huh? So I am not officially done with this yet. So there is slight caveats to what I'm, my discussion here. However, I do feel very much equipped, very comfortable, ready to talk about my thoughts on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So I don't think we need to dive into anything more than just my thoughts of it, because this is a game Nick's played, everybody's played. But here we go. So
he's pulling out a big long piece of paper. He's got an essay written out.
Just to set the stage, I've said this before, as Nick will probably point out here in a second, but in case somebody didn't hear me or I forgot, but I did not originally play Final Fantasy VII when it first came out, so I don't have the nostalgia for these characters, for this world, for this story.
That's too bad.
I know, it is. But so this is kind of something I'm coming into, not fresh, but obviously I know Cloud and Tifa and Baron and all those guys, but it is a story I'm kind of getting for the first time. So off the bat, I definitely want to say this is, if there was a game that qualifies for like a quadruple A video game, it's this. It's something of this ilk, right? This is from top to bottom a franchise and a series and a game that has been taken with the utmost care from everybody involved, right? They went top tier with everything. They went top tier orchestral music, top tier voice acting, top tier characters, top tier open world, top tier combat system, all that stuff. They put a lot of time, a lot of effort into all of it, and I can see that easily while playing through the game. I wanted to start with that because, when I start to critique a game, I'm not going to just sit here and sing like, oh, I love this, and I love this song, and I love this fight, and I love, that's not what I'm here to do. So, I didn't love everything about it, though. So, I think, like I just said, the combat system, I'll start with combat, incredibly deep. There's a lot of ways you can approach it, right? We're able to switch characters. We're able to switch the way that we want to, use specific characters, whether we want to use magic or up close, or take our time, slow it down. Do we want to use synergy abilities? Do we want to use summons? But I think when I start to kind of say it all out like this, that's where its system falters a little bit for me. I got through this entire game just button mashing with Cloud, and that's on me, absolutely. As a player, I could have tried to branch out a little bit more, but I do struggle with the idea that, I never felt like I needed to. I never felt like I wanted to. I felt like a lot of even the systems in place just didn't really impact anything in general. I'm thinking kind of specifically about the folio system. Like, I just thought it was kind of a bad way to level up characters. When I think back on previous Final Fantasy games, think of 10 and 12 and things like that, it felt like every single time I went into the sphere grid, for instance, and I'm putting 4 strength into a character, it's like I go back into a fight and I can feel that. I can feel the
No, you can't.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Absolutely, I can. I can go back into those fights that I've played where I go, okay, Auron's going to kill this guy in 3 swipes, but I put the strength in it, like, cool, 2 swipes now, or whatever the case. And so when I'm going into the folio system, and it's like, cool, do you want to upgrade when Tifa's in this specific unbridled strength ability to increase it by 15%? It's like, that doesn't do anything for me. So every single time I went into the folio system, I'm looking for, where's my, health 200, cool, MP plus 3, all right, that actually I can feel. I didn't ever feel like I wanted to, I need to go get more synergies. I need to go get this kind of stuff because I'm not using them in general. So kind of was a little bummed about that, just because I felt like, this is the Cloud show. That's all I'm ever chilling in. So combat good, but I felt like maybe could have tweaked it a little bit.
I think it's just it has depth there if you want to really take advantage of it, and I think if you're looking for the end game challenges, you definitely have to. Watching myself playing the game and then watching a friend of ours play the game and stream the game is night and day. As he was like you. He would be one character, but he was going crazy as that character. He was just Cloud and just combo. It looked like a Devil May Cry game almost. Like he was just going all over the place. And where I like to switch characters and all that, and yeah, you're just Cloud and you just button mash. I think any way to play is the right way. Whatever feels good for you.
Yeah, no, and that's fair. I just kind of comparing it to like Final Fantasy 16, also like recent release. It's just it felt a lot smoother and better the systems that they had in that. At least because that is a game that was designed around being one character and all that. So maybe
don't count out Torgal.
That's true. Yeah, I can't forget about Torgal, my good boy. But that being said, again, I still felt it was a very, very fun type of combat system. But that kind of leads me into the boss fights. I did feel like if there was any specific area that kind of wasn't on the top level, was kind of the boss fights. Every single one of them inevitably just devolved into monitoring my ATB systems and okay, who's going to get down next? Okay, Phoenix down. Okay, pop him back up. Hope he doesn't die before the next thing happens. And then okay, I got to get this guy staggered. And as soon as I get him staggered, then I can just go ham on him and hammer away with bravers and stuff like that. But and none of them are very memorable, right? I don't think the Turks are memorable at all. I think that's kind of I don't really understand why they're here. I know they're Shinra's kind of cronies in a way, but like. Am I supposed to be mad at Shinra? Am I supposed to be mad at Sephiroth? Am I supposed to be mad at...
Yes.
There's just yes is the answer to all of it. But, so like there's no boss fight really that sticks out in my head throughout the entire game, with the exception of what I know is probably about to happen here at the very end.
Yeah.
And again, comparing it to 16, which the boss fights, you go back and listen to our podcast about, our favorite fights of the year. I could have just thrown that entire cast in
right.
there. So, but... Yeah, so I don't want to just go kind of ham at all the things I didn't like, because the open world system was pretty awesome. Every time you get to a new area, they put a lot of depth and care into each area, feeling like a whole kind of brand new just open world system that you can go explore. The chocobos were a nice addition of capturing them, and it starts off you're just running around with them, but then they kind of all each have their own little special abilities as you go to the different areas to start navigating the world. Some of the areas were better than others. There was that one specific one, I think Gungaga, whatever, where there's all these kind of it was just hard to navigate.
It's confusing, yeah.
Yeah, and it just got me frustrated. It's that was probably my favorite thing about the game is whenever I could go to an open world an open world area and just kind of start checking off the different little Chadley things I want to do and finding the little chocobo birdies and following them and open up the post. So it was kind of frustrating, at least in that area. But I got a question for you, Nick, because you are somebody who has beaten the entire thing.
Sure.
Did you feel that this story, it's the middle entry of a trilogy, right?
Yeah. So
I understand we're not really getting a ton of resolution. We're not really getting a lot of movement on the big themes. But is it fair to say that the story did feel a little draggy? Throughout, I feel like we started the game.
The game's bloated. That's
right.
That's for sure.
Well, it's we started it, right? And okay, what happened? Okay, we just went through that crazy thing with Sephiroth. The world is sort of split or something. I still don't quite know what that's all about. And the world is hurting. And then it felt like, okay, we're going through the game and we're just we're going to the Golden Saucer, but the narrative's nothing's really happening.
Right.
The world's still hurting. Okay, cool. And Barrett will get mad about it sometimes, and that's fine. But nothing. I struggle to find specific big plot moments throughout. This game,
and that's like you said, since it's the middle chapter, it's basically chase Sephiroth. It is the kind of the main narrative here, and then. As JRPGs are, it's kind of about the adventure on the way, right? The going to the casino and the other locations, and going to Costa del Sol and getting Tifa in that bikini, and having those fun times, and just with these characters. And like I said, that's the two different point of views we have here. Is like a lot of the excitement was finally getting to see these locations that are very memorable to me, and these characters that are really memorable to me, like seeing Sid, who is probably not up there as far as Final Fantasy characters, but I loved him as a kid. I thought he was cool. He smoked a cigarette, and he'll eventually pilot an airship. And yeah, just seeing these characters, him and Vincent, and those big moments, but seeing them in this like very gorgeous game, that is a big driving factor. And again, yeah, someone who enjoyed Queen's Blood that you did not enjoy, and stuff like that, and so
I also didn't like Gwent, so maybe just
no, that's fine.
These things aren't for me.
In-game mini games are hit or miss for sure.
I will say though, the Golden Saucer mini games are ridiculous.
Yeah,
like I will give it that.
But I was gonna say, because I was like, because the way you're talking about this game, and it's like, what is driving you to play this now? Like, you've kind of fallen off of it a couple of times when other games have come out. It's kind of been in the backseat for a minute, but you do seem to be like zeroed in on it. You haven't beat it yet, but you're going to.
I'll have it the next day or two.
Yeah, you'll have it beat, and then you'll see it through. Is like, what is driving you to get through this game?
It's the biggest backlog game I have. and that was going to be my.
You're not hate playing this, are you?
A little bit, probably.
Yeah, I guess I should have known. Once you said you wanted to drop down the difficulty, I'm like, okay, that's like the first stage of
right. Like
I'm not enjoying
done
this
with
game. Yeah, I'm not done with this.
Yeah, and that's like why I wanted to start off talking about this. Like, this game is it's one of, like, 10 out of 10 is an acceptable score from somebody from this.
Right.
It's just, I think are you willing to go on the journey with these characters and stay in the journey with these characters, or are you trying to rush through it, which is me. I'm a rusher. I'm a let me get to the next thing. And so I started off. It's an interesting probably playthrough I have of this game where I got to Costa del Sol, and then I was like, I'm stuck here. I want to go fight things, and I kind of dropped it for a bit. And then as soon as I picked it back up and got out of Costa del Sol, I was real high on it. I was doing every single thing in the open world. I got to Golden Saucer. I was like, this is kind of cool too. I could easily see myself going and doing all these mini games. And then just like as we kept going, and as we got to another big world and another big world, and the boss fights didn't like elevate themselves, and the combat systems that I liked halfway through the game started to wear down on themselves, because I never felt like the game was pushing me to try and maybe there's a different character. Like, I figured out, like, Yuffie I kind of like to play as. Like, Yuffie's pretty cool, but just never felt comfortable as I did with Cloud. That I eventually, kind of got to the point of, like, well, like, I'm going to see this through. I appreciate what this game is, everything it's doing. I understand the 93 on OpenCritic? Something like that? 92, 93? But I do think that the industry and reviewers as a whole kind of maybe, I don't know, maybe this is a little over the top, but turned a little bit of a blind eye to.
It's too long.
Well, it's too long, and
it's 100%
I
too
think
long.
it's just like, again, you go into the. I just have such a problem with such little things about it, right? Like, you go into the menu, and there's a tab that says upgrade weapons, and you go into the upgrade weapons tab, and you can't upgrade your weapons.
No.
Like, what is this? Like, what can I upgrade my weapons or can't I? Right?
No.
And you go into
just
like
find them.
the item transfiguration thing. It's like, this is a cool idea, but I'm never at any point hunting the world for different items to be able to craft a thing. I can I can heal via Aerith. I can do this, and that's always been how Final Fantasy games are. So I don't want to like needle it too bad, but it just felt like, okay, we're all like sitting here celebrating, kind of like you were saying, right? Like, ooh, this is the areas I've seen, and isn't this so gorgeous? And I can't believe they put so much into it, and all of that is amazing. It's all 10 out of 10 effort, blah blah blah. But I just never really felt like anybody was just kind of critical of it in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
And I find that a little confusing. Just based on
even the developers. Maybe I mean, Final Fantasy VII is like one of the most iconic video games of all time.
Yeah.
It's like if Nintendo was like, "Oh, we're remaking Ocarina of Time,"
exactly.
Right? Like the pressure on those developers to bring this game to current and then make it just as good as the original. I mean, yeah, I think that there was just kind of like we talk about like with Kojima and stuff. It's like someone's got to tell you no at some point. Like there's too much in this game. Like,
right.
Do you need all these mini games? Do you need all these areas, all these side quests to do? And like you said, do we need a crafting system? That wasn't in the original game. Do we really need it in it? No, probably not. You just need all the iconic weapons, all the iconic move sets, and just go from there and just tell a new and engaging story, which I also think that they were afraid to do too, considering the ending of the Final Fantasy VII Remake kind of set the stage that like, oh, anything can happen. But the game, for the most part, 99% of it follows the exact same plot points as the original. So
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that because I mean, I completely even didn't mention like the Zack sideline stuff. It's like, do we know where that's going by the end of this game?
no,
We don't. So yeah, I mean, it's like, and again, it's the middle part of a trilogy. We're not supposed to like have it all blown out, but as a non-familiar player, it does seem a little bit. Not sloppy at points, but just like unpolished in certain specific ways.
Yeah, I just think it needed to be edited. It's like a 6-hour movie. It needs to like get it under like 3 hours.
Right.
Yeah, I accept that criticism, and I feel you. I think I felt the same way. And you're about to get into another area of the game, the final like chapter area, where I'm just like, can this just be over? Like, why are you doing this to me?
That's why I'm for. Slight spoiler if you haven't played this game, if you're super sensitive, maybe skip 30 seconds. But like I'm at the part where like all the shit's swirling around me, and like Rude and I don't know, Sang and Elaine are together, and I'm about to fight them, and then Rude and Reno are together. So like I know I'm going into a bunch of fights, but like like there was that first area of that dungeon where it's like you're flipping things on the ceiling and the sides.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to do this right now. I just want to get to the just show me ready to go.
Yeah.
And luckily that wasn't so bad. I was able to get through it, but
Yeah, it overstays its welcome. Who can defend that?
Sure.
Good luck. It's way too long. It needed to be shorter.
So yeah, I mean, so that's an interesting, like, hate playing, probably not hate playing, but like definitely I am looking forward to having it done, which is never a great feeling to want. Like, when I beat God of War, I was just like, no,
Right.
dumb, or Hades or something like that. So,
to the point, like one of the benefit, Expedition 33, not only is it a $50 game, it's also reportedly like 30 hours long, and you're like, yeah, that's fucking great.
Yep.
Like,
yeah, I welcome that more and more. But so this is an 8 out of 10 for me. I think that's a for me review. If I were to review it as a game, as the things they put into it, it's probably higher than that. It's more in the 9.5 area. But just for me, I felt like there were some critiques of it that I'd really never heard people bring up, and I think nostalgia is doing a lot of lifting. But this is an all-time cast of characters. This is an all-time story with all-time music. Like, the music is the biggest thing with this game. It just blows it out of the water in every way, shape, or form.
Awesome.
I can't criticize that in any
that
capacity.
Bow Wow Wow song, man.
Yeah. I did a fight towards the end, and these two characters kind of break out into like a Beastie Boys rap for like just for like 20 seconds, but like a good 3 minutes. And so I really appreciate all that. I just the bloatedness, the little bit lack of focus, perhaps. Like
the game has this like great soul and character. It just sticks around too long.
Yeah.
Everything
Focus
about
up.
it is silly and great, and the characters are great, but it's like, I don't need to be with you this much.
Just tighten it up.
Right.
Right.
Especially just the main quest. Like all the side stuff is can be fine, but like when the main quest is really dragging on, then you're like, oof.
And
okay.
and one last thing, like summons. How does summons work in this game? Like I don't know.
What triggers them?
Because of that, I never really felt. I didn't go unlock all the summons. Like I didn't fight them all in Chadley's thing, just because like those are kind of hard fights, honestly.
Yes, they are.
And you can go do the things in the open world to make them easier, which is cool. But like, I just like, okay, I don't know how to use summons anyway. They're just gonna show up when they want to show up. And I also feel like it doesn't really matter which summon it is. It's just like they're gonna do a bunch of damage,
right?
And then they're gonna do their final. If I either die or the fight, it ends, and then we move on.
Yeah,
and
I think that's one of the like higher difficulty things when you start thinking about like which summons to bring. I mean, it's a cool mechanic that they actually exist on the battlefield with you and will fight alongside you as opposed to just a cutscene like they were in the original. But
yeah, I do want to go, and I wanted to unlock them all. I just was like, nah, it's not worth it. Like, I don't feel like fighting.
Right. No, I don't think you have to anyways.
They fight alongside you in Final Fantasy X also. Just saying.
Oh, okay.
The best Final Fantasy.
Sure.
But yeah, so that's probably all of my thoughts.
Critical question here.
Okay.
Critical question, because there is another system in this game we touched on. We didn't touch on, but it is part of the game. Who'd you go on the date with?
Aerith.
Oh, you got Aerith, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I went on a date with Aerith. As you kind of go through the game, and they have those little moments of like your relationship changed and stuff.
Yeah, another system that was not needed.
No, and I feel like it didn't do anything. Like Yuffie always had kind of like a half smile above her character, and everybody else like thought it was great. But, yeah, I just found myself every single time there was like any sort of interaction where like I think there was a little bit in Costa del Sol where you're kind of like choosing who's your. I just always found myself drawn to Aerith, and I don't.
Fine.
Yeah, I know. I just like. I feel weird. Everybody else likes Tifa, and I like Tifa too. She's cool, but like I don't know. I like.
At least
that.
it wasn't Barrett. You could have gone
At
on a
least,
date with
at least
Barrett.
it wasn't. I did warm up to Barrett. Barrett's character arc is getting better. Like as he starts to get a little more empathetic and less gruff.
Yeah.
Like okay, you're not so just insufferable to be around. But yeah, I just always maybe I like that girl next door vibe. Just
Sure.
like I want just like.
Well, they both have it.
They are definitely both have it, but
And
Aerith is just a sweetheart.
And so, obviously, probably next year we'll have the announcement of the final game here. Are you in?
Yeah, I'm in. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in. I got to see how it wraps up. I'm incredibly curious to see what they do. I don't have a lot of knowledge on what the back half of this game looks like, but like, do we just? Is it another open world thing where we just bounce around and do that? Do they tighten it up a little bit, or?
Yeah. In the original game, you're going to revisit a lot of places that you've gone to before, which is probably maybe why this game feels so big and bloated. Is because that this is 2 games worth of content. Like you will go back.
That'd be good. I mean, that would
things.
make it release quicker. I would think.
Yeah, that'd be great. Maybe it is a Game Awards this year announcement.
What's your guess for the? It's got to start with RE something. Revival.
Oh no, it's
We had this, I think, at one point. We figured it out.
Yeah, we did figure it out.
Retribution.
No, what is what is
There's
what is Sephiroth doing? Like, what is it? This is the end plot. Like, what are those all those guys in the black cloaks saying all the time?
Retard.
Oh God, the hard R's.
Reclaim. I'm the one playing it. I should know.
Yeah, there's a term they keep using that it's like, oh, that duh.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll probably think about it midway through and just scream it out. Reunion.
Reunion.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's what it's good. That is the likely name. So.
Yeah. But so yeah. Yeah. But I mean it's I'll be happy to have it done, and that's like my backlog is still probably 200 games long, but like it doesn't feel like anything.
But how many real games?
Right, exactly. I think I'm ready to just Clair and Doom. Let's go.
Okay.
Right.
Sweet.
So
Yeah,
that was also part of the reason is like, okay, this is I don't know what's after Doom, but this could be one of a rare vacuums of like, okay, this is the time to do something that I need to get done. Don't just play more Neon White with your son. Don't just don't play more Balatro. Get something done while you have the time. And so happy I'm there.
Yeah. You're there. You're right at the end. So, all right. So we got a couple of listener emails we'll get into now. The first one up is from pal of the show, Julio. Hey guys. Thanks for reading my last question. I really appreciate it. Now, this time I wanted to ask y'all about the next Horizon installment. I just finished Horizon Forbidden West a couple weeks ago, and in my opinion, it was an excellent game. I remember going into it cautiously, since I remember that you guys weren't too fond of the story, as well as my brother who didn't even finish it after only needing the last mission to complete it, saying that he was bored of the story already. I'm glad to say that I really enjoyed it, from the gameplay to the story and everything else in between. Not as great as Zero Dawn, but still a 10 in my opinion. But then again, I'm not much of a critic. So my question to you guys is, what would you like to see in the third installment of Horizon? What are some things you hope will be added to the next game, or some things that you hope they'll fix from Forbidden West? Also a bonus question, since Lance Reddick passed away in 2023, do you think Guerrilla is going to recast Silence? Maybe not include him in the next game, or do you think he's already done his work for the next game before his passing? Would love to hear y'all's thought. Thanks, guys. Julio.
Well, first I want a giant robot Elon Musk that I can take down. I think that'd be sweet.
That Pharaohs is their
that is
Elon
true.
Musk.
Yeah, that's a comparison.
The bad guy of the original game, one of the bad guys. Yeah, John. So we'll take this in parts. So let's start with his bonus question about Lance Reddick.
Ooh, okay, good start.
How do you think they'll handle that?
I think you have to keep his character model. You have to. I don't think you can. I don't think they left the story off in a clean place where he's just not around. That would be too weird. You could maybe do some 8-minute lead into the story that explains why he's no longer there. But I think you could find a voice actor out there that's able to replicate his voice enough with his character model to keep it going. And I would imagine there's some knowledge of what his estate wants how his voice to be used and all that kind of stuff. But if it were me, I would send out some casting calls. There's an immense amount of talented people in this world. Just listen to Ariana Grande sing, any other female singer. She can do all her voices. And you find somebody that sounds pretty close to him, you use the same character model, and then we keep it going. That's what I would say.
Well, if they can. Yeah.
If they can.
I think
right,
that's a big a big if. Because also Lance Reddick was supposed to be in Alan Wake 2. He was supposed to be what's his name, Warland Dorr.
Was he?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, he was, because he is in
I wonder what that song
Quantum
would have
Break.
been like with him.
Oh yeah, the big music number with him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Maybe they could recast him, and I'm kind of just over that hesitation to recast someone when they passed away. Ray Stevenson from Ahsoka passed away, and they're recasting him.
It's a pretty easily explainable thing,
right?
If we can all just be grown-ups about it,
right? And you'll just have to accept it. When the actor who played Dumbledore died in Harry Potter, and all of a sudden it's a different guy who did very well.
Yeah, but he wasn't as good. But yeah, but fine, right? You'd be fine. I referred to them as nice Dumbledore and mean Dumbledore because he's so soft-spoken and nice in the beginning, and they just get so mean all of a sudden. Did you put your name in the goblet of fire? Well, I don't know.
But yeah, I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be surprised if it's because the game has been Guerrilla does that face capture. Ashley Birch does look like Aloy and all that. So I wouldn't be surprised if they recast a new when they recast a new actor, that it'll be a new looking Silence.
See, and that's almost why I feel like you can get around that. Just keep the same character model. You can do that. I mean, as long as the actor's cool with it, which they would. I mean, you don't need to get. This doesn't need to be, Timothée Chalamet doing Lance Reddick's voice, right? It can just be some no-name dude.
Sure. Sure.
Well,
and again, what is Silent's involvement in the final game? Because he's always been kind of like the silent, the kind of, and not an antagonist, but kind of the he's my partner because he's the better of two evils.
Yeah.
Kind of character throughout the series, and has always been on your comms. I mean, you really don't physically see him very often. Yeah, I don't know, but I do think he'll look completely different. Is my guess. He'll look more like whoever the actor is that replaces him.
It's gonna be a white chick.
I wouldn't go that far, but. So then we can go back into his main question is what would you like to see because we won't spoil Forbidden West, but it ends on a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
There's definitely a third game plot wise. What do you want to see?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, we live in an age where sequels almost they have to inherently be safe, right? We can't go off the rails too hard. So I fully expect Horizon 3 to be incredibly similar to Horizon 2 and 1, and I think you can see that when you look at Sony sequels. God of War Ragnarok, very similar to God of War 18. Last of Us 2, Spider-Man 2, you can kind of look at a couple different examples. So I don't expect drastic changes, but I think you can kind of change it up in a few key ways. And the easy one to call out is let's get outside the United States. I think is kind of the first one to call. We started off the first game kind of in that Colorado region, started moving west. We get into Utah and the sandstone landscapes of the western United States, and then make our way into California, where it gets a little more green and lush and water, and even in the DLC we go up into the mountains. But if this is a worldwide plague, which it is, humanity has been driven to this point. Like, this has to be similar around the world as well. So, what does an Africa look like, right? And with this, what does Asia look like? So I don't know, if they can do that in some sort of narrative way that makes sense. And I'm going to steal you had this earlier, Nick, so I apologize. I'm stealing your thought. Fine. But it might be time to have multiple protagonists too. If there is, maybe it's not Aloy herself who's traveling to these regions, but there's another group or another person that's she's known as the savior, right? Kind of that's her shtick.
Right.
Maybe she's not the only one, right? And we go to Africa and they kind of need to figure out a way to band together and form
together is probably
form some worldwide
plot.
network that can fight this rogue. Well, I won't skin the spoilers. Fight the incoming threat. But I do fully expect it to I'm a simple guy. If you give me, with the power of PS5 only, you give me larger, cooler robots. When I think of my favorite moments of these two games, it's the Thunderjaw, it's the big fucking snake, it's the big turtle dude. It's just the big monsters. That's what I'm here for. Right. And so if you give me awesome enemies, new ways to approach them, because I was a person that just used the bow the entire time. Maybe I'm learning something about myself with my Rebirth play.
You're so basic.
I find something I like and I want to use it. But give me more of a reason to kind of, maybe revamp the melee system a little bit. I don't know. That's intrinsically kind of hard to do in this game when you are fighting monstrous enemies.
It's been focused around that staff both games. Maybe it is a different melee weapon of some kind that is a little more tactical and changes things up.
Some sort of ball and chain thing where you could rope or lasso them around and do something there. But so I'm kind of expecting those type of changes. It's not gonna flip itself on its head and do anything too wild, but give me those industry best graphics. Every single time a Horizon game comes out, it goes, well, there's the best game that's ever looked, And so I expect that again. More enemies on screen, and for God's sakes, figure out a way to name characters that stick in my brain, because I still to this day, you got Silence, Aloy, and I don't even. Who's this?
The guy you hate?
Yeah, who's?
That we always forget.
I should know his name, but figure that out, because that's silly. Errand.
Yeah.
But
I think your point to the PS5 only is it, and look no further than the Burning Shores DLC is kind of like a preview, because that was PS5 only. That has a giant boss that is bigger than anything you've ever seen in this Horus that you fight, and that's also seamlessly going in and out of water on your mount. Just expect more. Definitely enemy variety, of course, right? Mechanized versions of other animals and dinosaurs. That's a given, right? But expect, more enemies on screen, bigger, more lush and detailed environments, and all the things you would expect. But I'm to John's point. I think mechanically, you're not going to see much difference there, other than new weapons, maybe new ways to play, new ways to set traps, new traps, and ways to wrangle down these new monsters. But expect all the same staples. Expect the dungeons, the tall necks, a lot of those same mechanics. The unfortunate loot system that I'm not the biggest fan. The resource collecting.
Yeah.
That they had to fix, because you originally you would bend down and pick up each individual item, and then they changed it later. But
horrible.
Just expect again, it'll be a showcase for the PlayStation 5, and it'll be something else. I don't know how soon it's coming. Is it the next game Guerrilla's working on? We know there's a lot going on with the Horizon IP.
That's the thing, is it's not gonna be the next Horizon game, I don't think. So I don't know. Yeah, I could see this being like a PS5 swan song, but I almost at that
PS5
point.
PS6 game.
Yeah, PS5 PS6. We're in that now. That's never gonna go away.
But I think bigger and better, and then just like I said, like we mentioned, we weren't fans of the story, the Far Zenith stuff. Just get that more grounded, unite the planet story. I kind of like the idea of like John said, like other parts of the world, like what are those tribes look like? How are they dealing with technology? You know, are they worshiping it like some of the factions we saw in Forbidden West were doing, or you know, or were they very rudimentary? You know, I forget what's that little piece in her ear.
Oh God, why you?
But there was, yeah, but people would react to that piece differently based on their tribe. There was a tribe that worshipped and used them the same way, and there were tribes that had no idea what that was.
The focus.
Yeah, the focus. I think that would be kind of exciting. Is like going to different regions, dealing with different mechanical robots, but then also dealing with a new tribe that kind of is dealing and reacting to this world in a different way. Could be very exciting.
Well, we know what region is super hot in video games right now, Nick. Japan. Let me go fight Robot Godzilla. All right, like, let's go. And then we travel the world and we fight their mythical urban legend creature.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, and I think the story should be pretty easy to write if you can kind of stick to that, because I think that's a story everyone can kind of get behind, like, you know, that unifying against a more external threat. So
yeah.
But it's on the lowest tier of like franchises for Sony, but I do love it.
It's on the lowest tier, huh? The lowest.
It's pretty down. I mean, what, Days Gone maybe lower, because I don't even play that game, but I platinum both Horizons, and
yeah.
But when you're talking about like the games that
I probably like it more than Ghosts. Probably.
You're crazy, but we'll see how you feel in October.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. That'll be quite the not surprising when they finally announce it, but like, oh shit, they're doing it. Yep. They're doing it. Here it comes. Yeah, because it's such a wild franchise to exist. I'm still not the biggest fan of Horizon as a franchise title, but yeah. I mean, it's just a wild idea.
Taking apart robot creatures is that's video game junk food right there. Like, give me that.
And again, this is Horizon is the Decima engine, and the next Decima engine game is Death Stranding 2. So,
which looks
there might
unreal.
There might be something you see there as far as like weather effects and real time deformation of terrain. That could be something you might see in Horizon, is running away from floods and storms. Yeah. And fire as like an active, like you set fire to the forest, and that's how you can try and deal with these robots. You know, there's a lot of things that could be in there.
You Set Fire to the Rain by Adele. Great song. All right. Next email, our last topic of the day, coming from our boy Jesse. He wrote in about Death Stranding. So maybe
I told him to do this.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, that's funny. Okay.
He messaged us on Twitter, Joysticks Pod, that he platinumed it.
He took your homework, and I think you'll probably end up giving him an A on this email. All right. From Jesse. Hey, guys.
Well, I just want to quickly set up. Like before he wrote this, he had messaged me. He considered Death Stranding like one of his top 10 games of all time, right?
Yeah.
And so, and as John is,
so you said platinum it, pussy.
Yeah, or that's my response. No, as John has talked about in the show, he likes sacred symbols, but his pet peeve with them is how highly they rate Death Stranding, like on the scale of all games. Yeah, one of the best PS4 games of all time, and as John, we don't quite understand it, even at myself after completing it. I can see why it's a very good game. I can see why it resonates with people, but even to me, it was not. I would not put that accolade on it. I wouldn't be like not even my top 10 PS4 game, let alone my top 10 game of all time. So I really wanted to hear it from him and what he felt and what got him to that stratosphere of loving the game. So I had to hear from him, and
all right.
Now I'm forcing John to sing the praises of Death Stranding.
Hey, guys. I finally got the platinum for Death Stranding, so here's my thoughts, because Nick forced me to do this. A bit of backstory. He did not say that. I bought Death Stranding the day it came out back in November 2019 and played it immediately. I remember getting hyped for it in the last week before release, and Impulse bought it because it looked so cool and different. I knew this game was special when I was walking down the hill along the river towards the first city and the Low Roar song started to play. It was a memorable moment for sure. I ended up playing it for a few hours and getting bored, not because I thought it was bad, bad, but I was just played other things and never went back. I ended up buying the collector's edition too with the BB pod, which is kept on display and is always a good conversation starter for whoever comes to my house.
What the fuck
Probably
is
think
that?
you're a psycho. Over the years, I kept trying to get into it, and I'd get a little bit further each time, but I'd end up dropping it every time. After watching the 10-minute Death Stranding 2 trailer and not knowing what the hell was going on, I knew I had to finish the first one and get this one. So I played again and got past Chapter 3. Then the game opened up and I was obsessed. I adore this game. Everything from the insane cast, the music, the satisfying gameplay loop, the online functionality, the crazy story, the combat is perfect. I love that you start out as not being very capable at delivering, but you connect people and unlock weapons and equipment. The game gets so much easier and really opens up whether you're facing BTs or mules. I love the online features. Being able to help others out and get help yourself is really cool, and it's cool to see the world change and grow as you progress. I was worried that having other people interfering in your game would make it too easy, but it all came at the perfect time to help out when I needed it most. I like the link. I think the like system is really cool and makes you feel like you're accomplishing something with every job you do. By the end, I had over 200,000 likes. I agree with Nick that the boss fights were not very good. I didn't need to fight Unger 3 different times, and it would have been nice to have more creative ways to fight bosses, although I really like the Higgs boss fight on the beach with throwing cargo and then the first fight in the tar. Hopefully the second game amps it up in variety and craziness for the boss fights. After I finished the story, I needed a couple of days to gather my thoughts and figured out what the hell I just played. And I'm still not 100% sure I understand everything. I cried multiple times throughout the game, including the ending. In the final couple of hours of cutscenes, which is just a funny statement, I had my toddler son cuddling into me, so I think all the stuff with Lou really hit hard for me, and that's why I'd have to 100% recommend this to John as a parent. To platinum this game, I put in about 40 hours after the story. I had to get all the collectibles, find the secret preppers, get all of the facilities to 5 stars, and get all the delivery categories up to 60. It was a massive grind, and by the end, I was just ziplining from one place to the next doing deliveries. I was over it. But that doesn't take away from the amazing experience I had before the end game. Anyway, I think Death Stranding is a 2 out of 10 game. 10 out of 10 game. I can't wait to see the second game and how it improves on the already amazing systems. Day one purchase for sure. Thanks, Jesse.
Yep.
Good email, Jesse.
Yeah. And I'm glad he brought up the like system too, because again, that goes into the, you're building up the world with other porters and it starts coming alive, and then when you log into the game, it tells you how many people have been using your things that you've built and how much they've liked it, and it is a very satisfying loop, this whole concept of likes. It doesn't really matter when the preppers they like you, but it is cool when other porters like you when you deliver their stuff and they deliver your stuff. There's a lot of neat mechanics built into it.
It's funny you pulled that out too, because that's also what I zeroed in on with this email is if there's anything that this game is doing that others simply aren't, I think it's incorporating a real world feel of it's incredibly brilliant that it's doing this, that it has a real world feel of connecting yourself with other people. You're doing it in the game, and it makes it feel incredibly satisfying, I am sure, when you realize that all this is kind of going on and on and on. So I definitely understand that. And
that's kind of why I'm really excited to get into Death Stranding 2 from day one, is like learning and experiencing all these things with the community, right? Mm-hmm. I think the game is pretty much, like you said, you zipline everywhere. That's like what ends up happening. But
zipline.
But yeah, how the game will actively, when the player base is so actively in it, like it was when the game initially launched, when me and Jesse played it, and I'm like, how many people are really playing this right now?
That's something I've heard that's kind of incredible about the programming of this game, is that obviously there's millions of people that have went through this world and built shit, but it does such a good job of kind of just giving you just what you need in just the right way, and it's kind of impressive, and I don't know how you do it.
Right. Yeah, I think it has something to do with the like system, and you're leveling up as a porter as I think you get more integrated into that stuff. So you start off, it just drip feeds you, because like you said, if you go into a zone like now, technically it should be all built out because millions and millions of players have already built out this area. But how it somehow figures out just whatever percentage it decides on is pretty neat because like you'll go into an area and only one little section of the road's done, and you're like, oh, I'll help this person by completing the next section, and it is that satisfying loop of, again, conquering this fucked up and crazy world, not just the geography, but the monsters and the mules, and setting it up for success. Getting everyone connected.
Sure. Jesse, something you might not know about me, but I'm an incredibly easy people pleaser. And so, I just want you to know you have caused me to go, oh, man, do I have to give this another try? So we'll see. I'm not promising anything because, as I just discussed, it took me 14 months to beat Rebirth. And, I actually got some games coming out here. But
let's say you got games on your plate, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna get through this expedition. You're gonna try, and then Doom. You're gonna just kick its ass. But Death Stranding 2 comes out in June, and is let's just say as we think it is a 90s game, right?
Mm-hmm.
It could overtake Expedition 33 or Doom, which will probably also be very highly reviewed. If this is in the 90s, are you reevaluating that, going back and playing the original?
I think you are instrumental in this. I don't think a review score is enough for me, right? I've never cover your ears, everybody. Metal Gear Solid has never been this 10 out of 10 thing for me. It's always
the first game.
I never played the first game.
Oh, okay.
You know this. I've only beaten 2 and 4.
Right. Okay.
Right. And so but that kind of tells you I've never felt compelled to even really do others. So, but I fully know that it belongs on the Mount Rushmore of video games. So a review score in and of itself from a Kojima game doesn't necessarily stick with me as hard. But if you come here and you go, look, I know the issues you had. They've streamlined it. The UI is better. The game, the fighting or whatever is tweaked up. You know me probably as a gamer better than anybody, so it's going to be a big push from you, I think, to want to do it, because looking at the things that Jesse loved, right? I appreciate all these things. I did play that moment of the game where the music kicks in. I was and I remember going ooh,
oh yeah,
and then I immediately went no. So it needs more than, for me, cast. I don't like Norman Reedus. There's just that. I love Mads Mikkelsen though, so maybe the cast can kind of get me going through. But I don't know. It's gonna have to still do a decent amount of changing up, I think, for it to land. Or the magic thing happens that happens every once in a while with things where you play something for the 4th time and you go, oh, I get it now. Maybe that'll happen, but I'm not sure on. Is there
many?
That.
I know you just said Metal Gear, but is there many series where you have fallen off the first game just to give to finish the second, a sequel that you can think of?
Well, I've never fell off the first Metal Gear. I just never played it because I was young.
Right.
So a game that I didn't like the first one and then I liked future ones.
Yeah. Maybe that's something to think about.
That's hard. Yeah, that's hard. Resident Evil, but when I played 2 and 3 as a kid, I was just I don't know, this is uncomfortable.
Yeah,
and then I played
scared.
4 and I was like, whoa, what the fuck is this? So I don't know. I'd have to get back to you probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, I think again, it's just the polarizing game, the polarizingness of a Kojima game. It's either it's just that wild of a scale. You either just fall in love with it, or you're
I will say though, where I've never really come across other non-Kojima fans. It's maybe this is the circles I live in. Friend of the show, Will, biggest Kojima fan I know. I know you like him a lot. Everybody else likes him. I don't know what it is with me.
And I know this game has been polarizing even for them.
Yeah.
I remember even famously Dan Reichert, who's this video game writer at Giant Bomb. He was a big Kojima fan, and he was like, "I don't like this at all. I can't believe that." I
want to become Donkey. I want to have the donkey arc.
Yeah,
give me the donkey
that's
arc.
Pretty much what everyone's kind of having with that game is I think you just had to get to that point. Like I said,
it's always you started nodding when I said after chapter 3, and you go,
yep, yeah,
yep. And I didn't
or
there.
When I was criticizing Blueprints, is I just feel I. Probably if I gave it a couple more hours and let the like I said, the snowball build, right, bigger and bigger and bigger, that I would finally be I'm in. But
I also feel like Death Stranding is probably a game that really benefits from long play sessions.
Yeah, that's
And like not just long, but like 4 to 5 hour play sessions probably.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, and not just like, oh, I did half a delivery and died, and now I'm just gonna try again tomorrow.
No, not at all.
So,
but
there's
it
that.
is also one of those games. Yeah, you could do a delivery and then turn it off. But
Sure.
yeah, and I know John has always been turned off by games like this, the Sims, the simulation games, and games where they're asking you to get really immersed in them. You know, and gameplay is kind of a little bit secondary. John's not so high on that, but we'll see. Cool. Sweet. Love the email.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jesse.
Thanks, Jesse. And Julio.
Yeah, both really good emails. Again, you can email in betweenthejoysticks@gmail.com. We'll read your email here. John, technically we're forgetting about a final segment. We should be talking Last of Us.
Yeah.
But the show has gone on way too long. Again, we're not looking to have another 2-hour show, so we'll just push it.
Okay.
You know, and I don't think this episode deserved
No, it was
a
pretty-
lot of talk.
You keep using a specific term. What not filler episode, but you kept saying something like it's like a plotting episode. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Basically it's a gap, a bridge.
Right.
Bridge
After
episode.
a big moment last episode, that we're getting to the bigger moments of the future episode. So, yeah, just everyone watching, be patient. Those fun moments are coming.
We'll rope that one into next week too.
Yeah, of course. And then yeah, just for other teases, I think it's all out there.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing next, but
yeah, you kind of got a little 2-week buffer. I mean, we are 2 weeks from Doom. That's pretty gnarly.
no, I do know it. I'm gonna just try and see how much Nine Souls I can do because that game's still awesome.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, I just kind of set it aside. Rebirth, focus, done, boom, back Nine Souls.
Yeah, and I mean, we didn't talk about it, but Lost Soul aside, it said I'm not dealing with Night Rain and left the month.
No.
It got delayed to August.
Wait, what? It did?
Yeah,
Sorry,
Lost Soul aside.
Oh, I thought you were just saying other games coming out later.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, I mean, when you're talking, we're gonna be in May. May is like, you know, we got showcases early in June, but May is also DEFCON level for Sony to go off to say something.
Yes.
And also, you know, if Grand Theft Auto really wants to come out this year, it has to have at least a 5-month marketing cycle. It doesn't have to, but it will.
Yeah.
That if there is going to be a trailer for Grand Theft Auto 6, you would think it'd be in May or June. So we're we're getting there to a DEFCON level for some big showcases. But yeah, I'm also what is Night Rain? Are we gonna start hating From Software?
No.
So quick to say that, but
Yeah, never.
You don't know.
No, they're listen. From Software could come and like shit on my chest and be like, "It's fine. You've gave me Bloodborne. It's okay."
What the fuck is this episode, man?
I don't know. My head's in a weird space. But yeah, what I'm saying is they can get away with a lot of wrong before they turn.
Right.
Before I turn on them.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, we got some things happening. And then yeah, finally, just a final quick update about songs of the show. The segment is no longer happening.
Join the what was it? The live service graveyard.
Yeah. The songs of the show are getting us in trouble on streaming platforms, specifically Spotify, as they go, "Do you have a license to use this song?" And I go, "Nope." And they're like, "We're going to pull that episode." And so all of our episodes are under that microscope, but they did it on our last episode like immediately. Yeah. Apparently Lena Raine does not like her songs in anything else. So
Sorry, Lena.
So, you know, if we find some cool songs, we will definitely hype them up. We just won't play them on the show.
And if you want me to sing a new song for you every week, let me know.
So yeah, we're gonna work on getting a new end song. It might be maybe John will sing, and we'll end every show on John singing a song. But we'll see. I'll hold him to it.
Yeah.
The Ghost of Yote soundtrack was out, and that was going to be my song. But not the soundtrack, but the main theme is out, and Ghost of Yote has great music.
I think the weirdest part about me singing would be staring into your eyes the entire time while I do it across the
Well,
table.
no, we record it, and then I play it
No,
every
I do
episode.
it. I do it live.
No.
Do it. Fuck it. We'll do it live.
New song every week. I'll pick a song and then you have to sing it like karaoke.
Exactly.
We're gonna become like a dragon.
Yeah,
or
they
Yakuza
won't. It won't get flagged for it because
podcast.
it will be so different from whatever the song is.
Yeah,
licensing
John won't
matter.
be hitting those notes.
Nope.
But all right, that's it. That's the show. We love you guys. Thank you for listening. Take care of yourself. Play some sweet games.
I'm looking at this game. There's this game that just came out. One last thing, Nick.
Oh, God.
There's a game that comes out tomorrow called Shotgun Cop Man.
Okay.
This review says, Shotgun Cop Man easily stands toe-to-toe with the likes of Super Meat Boy and Celeste in terms of raw, precise gameplay. So, look at a picture of it, though, and you're going to be like, what the fuck is that? But, I don't know. I might have to see what that's about.
All right.
I just saw the name. Shotgun Cop Man.
Sure. Those indie devs, they do what they want.
He's a thumb.
All right, back on closing out the show again.
Wait, one more thing. No,
Okay.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Can I go now?
Yep.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Okay. All right. That's it for the show. Again, we love you guys. Take care of yourself. Play some sweet video games. Write into us betweenthejoysticks@gmail.com. I'm seeing an image of Shotgun Cop Man. It is absurd. Write in. Let us know how you're like, just like Jesse. Any game you've played, and Julio, whether you're playing Horizon or Death Stranding, any game you're playing and you want to write in. If you love Blueprints and you want to tell me to shove it, go ahead.
Come on, Will. You heard the challenge.
But yeah, that is it for the show. We will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Toodles.